Well, hey, welcome back to another week of We Want to Watch.
Why do you insist on opening our podcast this way?
Well, we need some intro.
We
It has
totally
to be
don't.
we've got to welcome people into
We
the
do that
fold
when we
somehow.
talk about the name.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
usually just start by asking you, have you seen a movie? Or, whatever it is. It's conversational.
Do any guess the answer to that one?
Have you seen any movies? No, is my guess. Besides Good Will Hunting.
No, it's
Okay,
it's
yeah.
a no.
You didn't
Yeah.
even watch the
Yeah,
VHS?
it's just Good Will Hunting, yeah. I know. Sorry, Louis Zong. I did not watch.
Well, you said you had banter.
I did have banter. Well, I do have banter. I think the banter will come out as we talk about the movie.
Oh, it's not like intro banter.
Do we want to cut right into? Oh,
That's-
I didn't mean
yeah.
intro banter. I don't know if I have a ton of intro banter.
That's what the people come for.
I don't know, man. What about you, Lane? Your birthday was this week. You got a busy weekend. Is this doxing you too much if I say you've got a busy weekend coming up and your
No, I
birthday
don't
was
think
this
so.
week? Is
No.
this
I said it was my birthday last
too doxed?
last
Okay.
episode, so no, I had a
All
good
right,
day.
fine.
How do I want to say this? Nothing. I'm kind of mad that we're recording on this day because I got my nails done, I got my hair done, I went and got a facial right before this, so I'm like fully zen, which is not the right energy for this episode, I think, because this movie,
Yeah, for sure.
because I watched this movie earlier today too, definitely sticks out among all of the activities I just named as like a different energy level. So,
as someone else who also watched the movie earlier today,
as a person of watching this movie today experience,
yeah, I can relate. Definitely different from the work vibes. I don't know. And you know what? I'm glad I haven't recommended this pod to anyone from my work because awkward.
what is your work life like? Like, you don't have to get it. I know where you work, but don't get into all that. But like, what is the vibe? Because I've talked about my work and how it's like bananas. Like, it's the most coked out experience of my life. But like, what is it actually like to work for Bleep?
I don't know. Working for Bleep is like nice. It's definitely different in like the different areas where Bleep is located, and there's like a lot of spots where it's located. And I mean, I work with a lot of people from different areas, which is cool. Working in person, very, very different from working at home, right? I don't know. Working from home is just so like odd to me. Especially with what I do. I'm an engineer, for those listening.
Whoa.
I hope this doesn't
I was
dox me
gonna
too
say,
much
the
again.
doxing.
Yeah, I know. The doxing goes crazy. I don't know. A lot of my work is dependent upon other teams, and sometimes it feels like we work too fast for like certain teams, and then other times it's like they're like, all right, great, like here's all of our stuff done. This needs to be like released and finished in a week. Oh, your release process takes 3 weeks? That's a shame for you,
Yeah,
buddy.
deal with
Get
it.
it done.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. So I sort of recently just got through one of those like sprints, I guess I'll call it, even though they don't use the term sprints, but it's used in some other teams and like maybe on other programs. So like recently got through one of those, which was like pretty hectic. And then like immediately afterwards, like any sort of like managerial meeting or like tag up meeting just sort of becomes, all right, cool. So, you got stuff to work on, and like I just
You
go,
need
yep,
anything?
yeah. I had a meeting today, like sort of mid morning ish, where like I hopped on, and I was like one of the very few people on there, and like they were like, well, you need anything from me? And I was like, no, I mean, thanks. If we're good, I'm just gonna leave. And they're like, yep, see you later. And I was like, cool.
God,
cool.
I wish my boss was like that. My boss will be like, got a sec? And I'm like, oh, cool. So there goes my next 45 minutes of like my day.
I don't know. I've had talks like that. The problem is also, it's so like weirdly hierarchical. It has a very odd hierarchy, I should
Sure.
say, because I can't pronounce hierarchical. So it has a very weird hierarchy, and the particular position I work in just sort of complicates that.
Sure.
And sometimes, like, the people who I interact with like daily or even weekly, um, maybe aren't tuned in to exactly what time frames some of the like
Projects take.
the upper
Yeah.
management is looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like it just sort of becomes like it's like telephone, right? And then they go, "Hey, I heard about this thing, which seems like you're really sort of dragging your feet on." And I'm like, "Oh, that's like hasn't been a priority at all for me. Should it
Yeah.
be?" And they go, "Yeah, actually." And I'm like, "Oh,
Cool. Thanks for letting me know.
cool."
Yeah. Maybe you should talk to
Yeah.
your team.
And then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and then other times like I I have like, and I also work on different programs, so it's like kind of different for each. And like other times I'll work on like another program with someone who I know I can be very like straightforward with. And honestly, I think the best thing you can do as like anyone in management or like boss or like mid managerial level, whatever, is to make it so that your employees can be like brutally honest with you. Because like I straight up told him I was like, yeah, like sorry I haven't really been moving that stuff much, but like I've been putting my time towards other projects, towards the other teams that I work with, and like as far as my charge lines go, like I don't know if you noticed, but like I really haven't. I've been putting like a couple of hours a week, like he's straight up like, yeah, no, like that's great. That's what we need from you right now. We're really looking for work. Like we're trying to give you guys stuff, but we can't. I was like, all right, cool. It's not just a me
Yeah.
thing. Because it could feel awkward like approaching that where you're like, wow,
Yeah.
I don't have anything if you're trying to give me something, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, also like the projects that we work on are like very like the projects that you and I work on are very different, and
That's true.
I mean, like it seems like your workload is a lot more consistent and like recurring, um, whereas like they sort of have to find like large scale projects and then break them down, and
For
then
you.
we
Yeah.
we eat the elephant one bite at a time. For me,
Yeah. Yeah. My role is much more not even operations, but just like I don't want to say anything else actually because I don't want to give away my actual job title. Not that it's really that hard to find me. I feel like if anyone wanted to dox me off of this podcast, it would be very easy. Also, everyone who listens to this podcast knows
Same.
my name and address, so it's not.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, I mean, I hear you. It's a lot more consistent, but also just frenetically paced, where it's like, yeah, we have to go fast.
Well, it's like Sisyphusian, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like,
Oh, we got this done.
you're
Yeah.
rolling that boulder, yeah, and then like you get it to the top, and they're like, "Oh man, great job, up high!" And then like you go for the high five, the boulder starts rolling, and they're like, "Ooh, sorry, buddy, am I going back down there and picking that up?" It's like, wow,
Yeah.
if I must, right?
Yeah.
My job is more Promethean, where
Where you're gonna get your
they
fucking.
have me
I
chained
was
to a
gonna
rock.
Getting your liver pecked out
And,
by birds every day.
Yeah, what was it, by eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think what type of bird. I wanted to say pelican, but I was like, it's not a
A
fucking
pelican. A pelican fucking hacking out your liver would be brutal. That would be awful. I would take the eagle
Yeah,
over that.
that'd be tough.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, right?
That's what it felt like
It's
to
better
watch
than a
this movie.
seagull, like, taking, like,
Oh, hey.
bits and, like, putting it into their little
Yeah,
gullet,
fly,
shaking it.
flying away for a little bit, circling, coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Chum in the water. Yeah. Anyway.
So this is We Want to Watch. My name's Lane.
My name's Ricky. This is We Want to Watch.
This is. And I don't know why we wanted to watch this. During the entire runtime of this movie, I was like, why did I pick this movie? But I know why I picked this movie. This movie is Good Will Hunting from 1997, directed by Gus Van Sant. And I picked this movie because I have seen it and had strong opinions of it when I had seen it previously. And Ricky had given me a VHS copy of this for my birthday last year.
I heard it was a good movie.
And so I thought, hey, you know what? This would be a great one to talk about. I think there's a lot of different pathways we could take with this one. So And I thought you would have, I was reminded of this movie because of another movie I watched recently, and it all just felt serendipitous. And so I'm excited to talk about it with you.
Good word. I love the word serendipitous.
Good word, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodwill. Good word hunting?
Keep hunting. Goodwill. So, okay. You had thoughts on this movie. Did you like this movie?
No, I don't like this movie at all.
Wow.
I liked
this movie.
Maybe less than when I watched it before. Maybe about the same.
Jeez. So, okay. I like this movie. I thought it was good.
Yeah? Tell me about it.
Yeah. So, just to be clear, you know what, I could have looked this up, but it's funnier if I ask you. Main character is Matt Damon, right?
That is Matt Damon, yeah. So it's Matt. So Matt Damon. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I like where you're going with this.
Paul Rudd? Is one of the secondary guys Paul Rudd?
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't tell you who it is. No, that's Ben Affleck is the man you're thinking of.
Oh, Ben Affleck. Okay, right. He wasn't a duck, so it was harder for me to identify him.
So those two wrote this movie.
Oh shit.
So
okay.
So this is a big Oscar-y movie. This is the movie that got Robin Williams his Oscar, and then this is this is also the movie that won Best Original Screenplay this year. And Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote this screenplay. So that was like their big break, basically, in Hollywood, was this movie. So they wrote it. The legend goes, or the story goes, that Matt Damon was writing it for like film school. It was like his like big senior project or whatever. He was supposed to write like a short story or something, or a play or a screenplay or something, and he wrote this. And so, and then
are we sure he wrote it and it wasn't like, I don't know, a janitor of the screenplay department that walked by and wrote it on a whiteboard for him? Or,
you know, if a janitor had written this movie, it probably would have been better. I think it's very. I think this movie's really goofy. I think the writing is really goofy. I mean, I can't deny. I see why Oscar liked it, is what I'll say. I can like it's. I think this movie is actually what, like, people say Oscar bait a lot. Like, people throw that term around, and when they say that, they go ahead.
They chum the water with this movie. They really like.
What is with you saying
this
chum
is my
the water?
second time you said chum the water. Yeah, I know. I've been into sharks lately. It's evocative. It gets people going. That's why I like that phrase. So it like there's a lot of like I talked about this with Cloud Atlas. There's a lot of like moments, right?
Yeah,
like
this is a momentous movie.
Yeah. It's got a lot of like scenes that like oh, like this is a moment, you know?
Yeah, this is a clip. This is something they wanted.
Oh, it's very clippable. Yeah. Like I feel like I could be scrolling YouTube Shorts and I could find like any of these scenes with like the boss music in the background. You know what I'm talking about?
I guarantee you can watch this movie in its entirety on TikTok right now. Like, just randomly, out of order, like different scenes, you know, out of context. No, but like when people say Oscar bait, they're meaning like it's a period piece and it's you know,
You're telling me a period piece baited this Oscar?
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Sorry, God, sorry.
You know, they're thinking like it's a stuffy like drama or a biopic, and it's, you know, about like an issue, like a social issue or something. But I really think that this movie, which fulfills some of, but not all of that criteria, is so Oscar baity in the worst way that like isn't really a thing as much anymore, because it's so tied to the 90s. I think this movie is so 1997. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's almost a period piece of 1997.
It feels like it, yeah, because I mean, right down to Matt Damon's haircut, but like the whole, like, we've got, you know, it's Bill Clinton, like, you know, we're in the .com bubble, like, we got the sun on our face and the wind at our backs, like, we're, you know what I mean? Like that kind of like, vibe.
We're pulling
and
ourselves up by the bootstraps. It's happening. We are gonna make it.
Yeah, but we're compassionate. Don't forget, though, that we see social issues. We understand, but really, resilience and the genius of this one boy and this one guy, like, and this one fucking psychologist. Oh man, it's so awful. So I think it's really egregious that this won best screenplay for all of those reasons. But I get why it did.
Yeah. I mean, so do we want to get? You know what? I'll just say.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Go into
Matt
it. Get
Damon's character in this movie is too well-rounded in his intelligence, right?
Right, but the scene where she's like, they're sitting at like a cafe or something, and she's doing her like organic chemistry, and he's like, you know how like Mozart could just sit and play the piano, and he's like, well, I could just do that with organic chemistry, and apparently everything else, like his like piano is like books, like it doesn't make any sense.
Right. When he said that, and he's like, oh, but like, you know, I couldn't hit a homer at Fenway, you know, I couldn't play the Mozart.
The accents. What is that?
I'm not. I couldn't do his accent.
You can't do a Boston.
Well, I mean, a Boston.
A Boston.
I couldn't hit a homer out at Fenway. I don't know. That's there's someone in there. I don't know who he is. Like,
he's trying to get out though.
yeah. He's trying his best to get out. So like the thing is, at least in my eyes, for like any outstanding intelligence, right? It's almost always like any prodigy, especially like the troubled prodigies, they excel in like one very specific area, and then they're horribly lackluster everywhere else.
Yeah. Socially.
Yeah, socially especially. The way that he can pick up on social cues and like apparently like read into people immediately is like, it's like, okay, it would have been cool to watch a movie about a guy who could do that, right? Like, who had like almost mind reading levels of.
You know what movie that is? Actually, is Silence of the Lambs. Because when when
Hannibal Lecter does do that. Yeah, he reads everyone for filth. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Like Jodie Foster will walk in and he's like, with your cheap shoes and your, thick boyfriends back at home. It's like, Matt Damon.
Oh, I smell the perfume you put on. Did you stop down at Chanel and buy that this morning? $49.25, wasn't it? Plus tax, I'm sure. Like, Jodie Foster's like taken aback. She's like, how could he have known?
She's like, I just wanted you to read these fucking documents, man. Don't make me come down here again. No, but I agree with you. He's too. That's what I mean by like the 90s of it all. He's too cool, even though he's got problems, and obviously we're supposed to understand that this guy is, like an asshole. Like, but it's still the way that he's just so cool and always knows the right thing to say. Like, and I understand that that's
the bar scene.
Yeah, oh my god. Yes. Christopher said this was the world's longest monologue. Like, that this movie is just the world's longest monologue. The number of like academic takedowns that this character in particular says, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, they had thoughts and they wanted to write a fucking essay and put it in a movie.
This is like you know how like people will like have an argument with themselves in the shower. Not me personally, but people have an argument with themselves in the shower like a week later with the perfect response. That's this movie if they did that, but also they spent a year like researching the perfect way to take this person down, and then like thought 3 or 4 steps ahead, and like like, oh, you're gonna say this next thing. Well, actually, it's like almost anime like monologue in that like sense, where they're like, oh yeah, I know you're going to unleash this next power, which is why I actually secretly had another power saved up just for you, just waiting for this moment.
You're right.
It's
like a lot like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like fine. I mean, it's compelling cinematography. It's maybe not that.
I do think this movie looks good. Like, I think this movie for the most part
looks good.
That's one of the things that has going for it. And like, Robin Williams.
I think it's a good watch.
You're never going to not
too.
want it. It's an easy watch, but it's an infuriating watch. Is the thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like, And Robin Williams, you're never not going to want to see him on screen. Like,
Right.
he's always,
Yeah.
Especially what he's doing here is interesting, even though it's so frustrating. Again, the way that, like, he's kind of, like, doing the same thing that Matt Damon is, in that he's so clever and, like, so... Like, there's not actually a lot of, like, conflict between characters. They're just kind of monologuing at each other, and then... like, they come to a resolution together, but there's not any, like, actual back and forth between those two where they're, like,
Right.
arguing or anything. They're kind of just putting each other in their place over and over. And that's how every character is.
Yeah.
The only real conflict is between the therapist and then the professor, and then Matt Damon and Minnie Driver, his girlfriend. When they fight, which that's an intense scene. We'll get to that. But anyway. Yeah, they're monologuing, like, constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's... I didn't really have too much of a problem with that, right? The conflicts do kind of feel like... that's whatever. My biggest problem was just, like, Matt Damon's character, like, on its whole. Like, will hunting. I don't know. That's...
It's wish fulfillment. Like, in a way, it's Mary Sue, like, or not Mary Sue, but, like, yeah.
No, it is very, like, wish fulfillment, and it's also, like, how dumb people write smart people, right? It's like, oh, this guy's wicked smart, like, he knows everything.
And you know how? Is because he can do math. Like,
yeah,
like it's so lazy to be like, the shorthand is like that he knows math, but he's from the fucking Southie projects, so he's actually like salt of the earth. Like, all of the class whatever analysis here, I feel like is really, like, again, just boring and, like, obvious and cheesy. So
yeah, and also, so maybe this is like not this is definitely not the thing to take away from this movie. There's no maybe about it. The amount of, like, fights that we see him get in, and, like, the amount that we hear about him being, like, abused as a kid, I'm like none of that affected his intelligence at all. Like, home, and it's like it's very, like, strongly proven that, like, home life, especially, like, how well nurtured you are and how exposed you are to different ideas as a child, like, greatly affects your intelligence. It's like, oh, this kid was bumped from foster home to foster home.
Right.
Never really got a chance to be settled or secure.
Well,
not meeting, like, basic Maslow hierarchy of needs. Somehow, like, was just fine with it, and, like, also is just the smartest boy in the world. He's just God's smartest little boy.
That's why I'm saying this movie's, like, class, like, politics are so tough, because and tough meaning terrible, because, like, it is about, like, exceptionalism and bootstraps, because, like, he is, he's exceptional, right? That's the whole point. And you compare him to all of his friends who, like, are like getting into fights. They're admittedly, like, idiots and, like, drunks and whatever. Like, that's all they're really referred to. Only Ben Affleck. Yeah. Well, and they say some other things about him too. But, like, Ben Affleck's the only one who, like, has any positive qualities that we see on screen, and that's just that he's, like, smart enough to tell Will, like, you better get the fuck out of here before you end up like me. Which, like,
I really
this
like
isn't
that
saying
scene.
good. I think it's a cute scene, but, like, from a class standpoint of, like, oh, like, actually most poor people are really, stupid and like lazy, or, like, what, whatever this, they're not exceptional,
Right.
they're not smart.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's
almost,
again,
like,
the 90s of it all.
they deserve to be,
live
like,
in the
tradesmen, and, like,
Right.
it's like it also sort of, like, shines a light on how much, like construction workers, tradesmen, who get paid quite well, like,
Right.
I mean, at least now, were, like, looked down upon at the time, and it's like, oh, like, what, you're just gonna be a construction worker? And even his, like, Harvard girlfriend is like, she's like, she says, like, oh, like, well, it was never about that, but, like, he feels really self-conscious about it, because it's like, it is a big thing at the time.
Totally.
Like, wow.
Yeah. It just, again, it's a watchable movie, but, like, I feel like I don't have the ability to, like, not to, like, turn my brain off to watch it enough to enjoy
I
it.
do, easily. Any time, any day. I got a big red switch that I can just
That's the
I don't
anime
know.
in you.
Yeah, honestly, watching a lot of anime kind of did bring that out, and like now I've gotten to the point that I've seen all like this might be to some of the listeners. This might be, especially the anime watching ones. This might be a bit rude. Um, I've watched all like redeemable anime, and like the only stuff that's like untouched by me is just like rather be
Degenerate
untouched
shit.
by any human
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah, like super
Yeah.
degenerate, just like um and I don't know, like I've had people recommend stuff to me, and whenever somebody recommends something to me, if I haven't like at least heard of it, right? It's just like it's such huge red flags for me. I'm like, oh man, this is either like an underground banger, which is just like somehow slipped by, or it's dog shit. And it's like, well, like it's very often more so the latter.
Yeah.
And I mean that's not to say that there's like not some, I'm not gonna derail this into anime. I talk about anime too much on the pod. But like I do have like this movie, like anime that I watched that I'm like, oh, like this is bad, but I like watching it. It's like it's watchable. And like the qualms that I have with it are like not so much that they overwhelm my ability to enjoy what I'm seeing on screen, but like if anybody was to ask me about it, I would not recommend it, right? And I
Yeah.
feel like it's kind of the same with this movie, because I feel like anyone who really likes this movie probably has like certain very specific problems.
Go on.
I mean, none the least of which I would think is a god complex and or narcissism if they identify with Matt Damon's character.
Okay,
That's just,
yes,
I don't
let's.
know.
We should get into this because part of why this movie has such a like legendarily bad reputation in my mind, even though I think the movie, has passable
It's
qualities.
fine as a movie,
It's-
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's well shot. I think some of the performances are pretty good. It's the writing and like the all of that I don't love. But
Yeah,
the main character is so bad boyfriend coded, and specifically, I had a boyfriend in high school who was he wanted to be this character so bad, like he wanted to, and like
God.
this movie in particular, and he also wanted to be Robin Williams so bad, but he was really more like Will, and not in like
Yeah.
he was a secret genius who was like troubled, but like in a I'm a narcissist asshole way. And like yeah, and I think this type of man is just that he's out there. He's he's
Yeah.
coming to be your boyfriend if you're
prevalent.
not careful.
He's on the prowl.
Yeah, like
so
he's out there. Yeah.
I hate the like secret genius trope. I hate
Yeah.
the idea of like a secret genius, because like does it happen? Sure. Does it happen in the ways in which people who think they are secret geniuses
The ways in which
occur? Fuck! Fuck! Does it happen?
who's not a secret genius?
Me! I know, I'm a fucking dumbass. I keep saying
No,
the
you're
same
smart.
goddamn thing.
You're smart. You're fine.
Stop with the tone.
You're not a genius.
Anyway.
But
No, I
let's,
know.
like,
No, but I mean, because I've met people who are geniuses, and like they have a very particular air about them. And like it's not the same air as like a narcissist or as someone who fancies themselves a genius. It's distinctly different.
yeah, this character is very like gifted kid energy,
Yeah.
not genius,
Yeah.
which are two very different things. And like the people who cling to like being a gifted kid into their 20s and 30s, like that label, like
Yeah.
yeah, tough.
It's also distinctly different from the like extremely competent, like just talking about like airs of people. Like there's like within like I'll say like the upper stratosphere of like what I regard as like oh, like this person is maybe not like accomplished or driven or whatever, but like this person is like someone, right? Anyone who is like exceedingly competent has that like air of like, oh shit, like this guy gets shit done, right?
Yeah.
And those people are like more rare than geniuses, in my opinion.
You think I'm rare? Is that what you're saying? I'm kidding.
Lane, you are very competent, but I have met people who are like just insane in their competency, and it's not even that they're like, it's not like they have a particular aptitude to whatever they're working on, right? it's just that they are so. I don't know if it's that they're so obsessed with it or they're so absorbed. I don't know what it is, but they just like they're unrelenting in their pursuit of blank, whatever that is. Yeah. And I've only really met like one, maybe two people that embody that, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to mention them because we'd have to just like cut this whole part. But
hey.
actually, you know, I am going to tell you just so like note this
I'll
down.
cut it.
31 minutes. Yeah.
Bitch, I listened to the whole podcast again. Like, it's fine.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, and now getting back to how this relates to Good Will Hunting, right? It would make sense to me if Will Hunting was like super competent or just like extremely gifted genius in like one subject, or even multiple subjects that are at least like corollary,
related.
Right?
Yeah, like all math or all science or something. But yeah, instead it's like he knows art, he knows literature, he knows psychology, he knows math, he knows science, he knows specific medical science, he knows organic chemistry. Like, again,
and history. By the way, everything that he's read, he can recall perfectly. Maybe not photographic memory, but he can recall things perfectly. And even with photographic memory, like who's to say that he'd be able to properly process and like express what it is, like the ideas that he's, you know, formulated. Like instead of that, he just has it all. Like I don't know. And like
it sucks.
Especially and like I don't know. It does suck. Like photographic memory. Have you met anyone that has a photographic memory?
No, that's not a real thing. Like, that's not a real thing.
It is. It is.
No, it's not. No, people have really good memories, but there's no such thing as a photographic memory. That is not real.
But it's like photogenic or whatever. Like they can look at something and then just like remember it for I don't know how long, but like I don't know. Maybe it's not photographic. I
think that is a pop culture invention more than reality.
You think
Again,
so?
there are people with yes. I think if you Google "are photographic memories real" right now, like you will get a Wikipedia article saying not really. Like, but people have good memories. But you know, and I can like overlook that kind of thing. I just it's really grating, I guess, anymore to see a main character like this. Like, I feel like culture has evolved to where this type of main character. Another movie we should watch from this period that has a similar, not as like the main character is not the same in that like it's a totally different type of type of guy or like whatever walk of life, but American Beauty, the Kevin Spacey movie, we should watch that.
I've heard
which is also
bad things about that one. I'll be
honest with you. Movie is like this one on fucking drugs. Like it's way worse and in every single way. Right. Yeah. Okay. Like cool. The writing is like worse. The monologuing is bad, but like the main character, you know, I'm gonna say sarcastic things and put everyone in their place energy of that movie is like this movie. It's like, okay, you roll your eyes and it's like, okay, I'll get through it. That movie is you want to flip your TV and like stare into the sun and, you know, all of the things just because it's being delivered by Kevin Spacey. So it's even more annoying. I can see that. Yeah. I don't like Matt Damon. There are very few roles I think he's good in. And yeah, this one is not one of them. So
he's like very hateable.
He is. That's why he's so good in The Departed. Is because he's playing a villain. Yeah. Because he's leaning into his like smarmy, you know, he's kind of doing this character, you know, boy genius, mafia cop, but like, you know, to an end. Whereas this is just annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him in The Departed. I loved to hate him in Interstellar. Like, as soon as he was on screen, I was like, I fucking hate this guy.
Right. I think that's another example of it, where he's like kind of, you know, he's like a all-American. Anytime where he's playing the leading man, like The Martian, where he's just like, I'm going to be a smartass and kind of cock one eyebrow and don't you love me because I'm handsome? And it's like, that is easy to hate. But when he's playing a bad guy or like an anti-hero or whatever, you know, then it's like, oh, okay, we're cooking with gas here. Like, we've got something here. All of my favorite roles of his are villains. He's good in Interstellar, like you said.
Yeah. Did you watch The Martian? I read that one, and I kind of liked the book. It was like, parts of it I was a little eye-rolly at, for sure. I was like, all right, like, sure.
It's an eye-rolly movie. Yeah.
I mean, some of it is like cool, and it makes sense, and it's like interesting, and like some of the math that they do for like the spaceship like slingshot launch was like really cool, to like read. But I can't
Sure.
imagine that it translates well to a movie.
It was a watchable movie, I would say. Like it's like as far as sci-fi action whatever goes, like that's not really my genre, so but I remember thinking like that part was fine, but it's just you spend these long stretches with just Matt Damon and he's just doing his shtick and
Yeah,
it's not fun.
I'd
Yeah.
want to throttle the fucking kid. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah. Have you seen The Talented Mr. Ripley? That's a
Ooh,
movie we should
no.
watch together.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is that
that's a
starring
good
Matt
movie.
Damon, or is he just a?
It's starring
side
Matt
character?
Damon. Yeah, and he's playing a con man. What was the word we couldn't come up with last week? That we were
Charlatan.
trying charlatan.
No.
Yeah, he's playing
Oh,
a bit
was
of a
it?
charlatan. Yeah, it
Okay.
was. He's playing a charlatan. I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to spoil it. But he's playing he's leaning in again into his persona here as like, smart, whatever, like charming, kind of like all-American guy. To an end. And that movie's really good. So yeah.
People hated the all-American kid thing out of what's his face? Really, really, really attractive guy in Mission Impossible. What's his name?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah. So he not in Mission Impossible, but he played like a New Jersey kid in some movie, or like a New Jersey family, in like it's like an
Are you thinking
Armageddon
of The
movie.
Outsiders?
No, maybe
Like an
I don't
old
know.
movie, or Top Gun?
was
Are you thinking
a-
of Top Gun? You're thinking of Top Gun.
Maybe it was like a space
When
movie.
was this?
Oh,
Oh.
man, I couldn't tell you that. I just saw people hating on him, and this was Twitter discourse that I saw. I'm introducing this 40
here we
minutes
go.
into this app instead of at
That's
the
cool.
beginning because I only thought of
That's
it now.
fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Tom Cruise, like, I just saw a thread like with people like shitting on Tom Cruise. And I was like, damn, like I thought that guy's pretty cool. And they're like he doesn't know shit about shit, and specifically he doesn't know shit about being in New Jersey or like growing up in a family like a blue collar family. Like
Is
really
this
bad
War of the
performance by
Worlds?
him. Maybe it was. I think it was War of
Or-
the Worlds. Yeah.
Okay. That he's not in space in that movie, but yeah, I mean that's a sci-fi.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's miscast in that. He's playing like a fucking like boat worker or something in that movie. Like he's like a
Yeah, but,
fisherman
like,
or something.
Yeah, but his like dad was like a plumber or something in New Jersey. Like he lived that
Sure.
life. He knew it. you
But
know?
but that's not his persona on screen. You know what
It's
I mean?
not
Like
his persona on screen. Yeah,
like
yeah.
he is you know,
Especially after he had like the teeth work done and everything. Like he left that behind.
Sure.
He did leave that life behind. He kind of turned his back on it. Let's be real here.
I mean, sure, yeah. I'm sure the Scientology of it all has something to do with it. But yeah, I mean, I can see why people don't like him in that role because he's playing,
his genre
he's
unlocked.
he's slumming it or whatever, when
Yeah.
that's so not what his whole thing is. But that's an interesting
not his
comparison to
shtick.
draw because he is also my favorite performances of his are like in villainous roles because I think he also
Really?
like is a more interesting, or at least like unlikable
Like non-protagonist.
slash villainous.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like I think his two best are like Collateral, which is a movie we have not watched, but we should. That's a Michael Mann movie. You would like that.
Ooh, okay.
He's playing like
like
a
Michael
shark. He's playing like a human personification of a shark.
A shark? Chumming the
yes,
waters? Bringing it full circle.
Callback.
Yeah.
No, so he's really good. He's playing like a hitman in that movie, and then
Okay.
he's good in Interview with a Vampire, which like
Is
he's
he
playing
playing
like
a
the bad
vampire in
vampire.
that movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's he's good there. And then Eyes Wide Shut, which have you seen that one? I feel like
Nope.
we talked about this movie. No.
Nope. No. Maybe.
That's-
Oh wait. Oh,
We talked about it
didn't we
last
talk
week.
about this last
At the
week?
bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's playing like, kind of a cucked or like sexually frustrated doctor basically who like wanders New York and like basically goes through this like
and
odyssey
finds
of
finds the
yeah,
finds the underground sex
and he's
cult, yada yada. Yep.
he's playing like he's playing a really interesting, like, psychological character, and it's not always the most flattering portrait, which I think is why he doesn't do anything interesting ever anymore. Like, as an actor, he only does action movies, right? So yeah, that's like his most interesting stuff, is where he's playing against type. Whereas sometimes you want an actor, I think, like, you know, who is leaning into type. Like, I would say DiCaprio is a good example of, like, when he strays too far outside of his lane is when he's bad. But when he's, like, sticking to what he's good at, he's good, you know?
Yeah. Hey, you know, never mind.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to make a DiCaprio under 25 joke, but I couldn't workshop it fast enough to get it out there. If you watch the Super Bowl, SpongeBob did it better than I ever could, so...
SpongeBob made a DiCaprio dates young women joke in the Super Bowl?
Yeah. So they...
Sorry, I didn't watch the SpongeBob commentary of the Super Bowl.
Well, you're lost. So they had... who is it?
Travis Kelce.
The voice actor for SpongeBob and... No, not Travis Kelce.
Tom Kenny.
Tom Kenny and the voice actor for Patrick. And they, like, mo-capped them as SpongeBob and Patrick and did, like,
fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so they had live commentary and everything. And, like, one of the other announcers who was, like, also announcing with them, normal human being, not fishified at all,
Awesome.
was, like... Yeah, they made like a cap, no cap joke, and they're like, oh, speaking of which, Leonardo DiCaprio is in the stands. And Tom Kenny just goes, haha, 25. That's a joke about DiCaprio's dating history.
I feel like he should have said, like,
so awkward.
You know what's older than 24?
24? 25. I think he,
Are
like...
we funnier than Tom Kenny?
This was also like hour 2 into them, like, live.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
right.
like I'm
sure they were
like,
feeling it.
Yeah, I'm sure he, like, thought something along those lines, but he was just like, well,
out.
you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say the 25 line. It's funny, and it was. Like, good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
but
who
anyway.
has Matt Damon has DiCaprio's hair in this movie. Him and... Because
Yeah,
Titanic was this year, too. They have the same stupid blonde,
they
floppy
do,
middle
yeah,
cut.
like the shortcut. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie. It looks better on Leo Dio than it does on Matt Damon.
Christopher says, said that they're both, like, manic pixie dream boyfriends in this movie.
They are.
In those two. Yeah. Have you seen Titanic?
Yeah. One of the few I have.
This podcast is, like, 40% me just saying, have you seen this?
This
both
was
of
like
them
the
are...
one soundbite of me saying yes in response to that.
I won't put the air horns in this time. But yeah, like, again, it's like the wish fulfillment thing. Although I do think Titanic is more for, like, the female gaze, whereas this movie is very much like, wow, he is literally me, you know? So.
Wow, he's wicked smart, just like I am.
Okay, so pivoting to a different approach for this, because I feel like we've read Matt Damon.
We're just gonna keep ragging on him. Like, we could do this for a couple more hours if we really wanted to.
I could go for hours, yeah. So I was gonna ask, have you ever been to therapy? But
yeah.
No, okay, same. So what do you think of the portrayal of therapy in this movie?
Garbage. I mean, maybe not garbage, but like, pretty bad. I think it's also like...
It's like compost, at least.
Yeah. So the thing that Robin Williams, when he's talking to his class, like, when we first get introduced to him, he talks about
oh my god, and
about
he's...
how important it is. And it's like...
I know what you're about to say.
No, I was just going to say, like, yeah, that's true, but, like, Matt Damon is so adversarial, like, to every one of his therapists, and it's like, all right, well, like, obviously that just, like, wouldn't work like that. And also, if you walk into anywhere, right, like, so, like, therapists, like, sometimes get a lot of flack, I guess, but, like, if you walk into anywhere and, like, shit talk someone, like, you can expect them to, like, tell you to fuck off,
upset.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, like his, like, quote unquote wins against these guys are it's just him being a dickhead. It's like, all right, like, they're like, hey, this is a waste of my time. I don't want to. So, like, it just adds to the fact that, like, people who, like, look up to Matt Damon's character, or and like to a lesser extent, people who think therapy is dumb, and I feel like there's a lot of overlap of those categories. Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, well, if you get in what you get out what you put in, right? Like if you go to it and I think the overlap occurs because a lot of these people think they are smarter than their therapist.
Oh, totally. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, you do know that you can learn things from people that you're smarter than. Like, even if that was the case, right? Like, let's throw away the argument completely. Let's say, sure, like you are smarter than your therapist. That doesn't mean they can't teach you anything, and it's really dumb of you to not see that, right? Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
baseline.
Also, like, okay, so
your
the
assumptions are faulty. Anyway, go on.
No, you're right. Well, and the first two therapists that he sees, like, the second one, okay, sure, he's like making him relive his childhood, which it's really funny that the
hypnosis
professor
guy?
and it's funny that they just let the professors just sit in on his therapy for the first couple. Like, sure,
Yeah, weird, right?
I get that this is a movie, and I get, like, I don't think I've ever seen a therapy depicted well in a movie, but some are better than others, and like it just some of the very egregious, and again, you know, for dramatic purposes, like therapy's not always very exciting, right? So it would be silly to make a movie full of that, but like, so of course the conversations are going to be a little more cliche and whatever, but some of it is just like, oh my God. But no, when he's talking, so he does the hypnosis, and sure, that whatever, I can see how somebody would eye roll at that, but the first one, he's just like, oh, so you're like a closeted gay guy. I'm going to like pick you apart because of that. The guy isn't even being like a bad therapist. Like he's kind of being a little harsh, I guess.
Yeah.
But he's doing like normal therapy shit. And Matt Damon's like, oh, so you're a queer. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he basically calls him like a slur.
And he's like, listen, me and my boys wouldn't mind if you gave us a tug down at the fucking shipyard, but I'm not going to deal with any of this queerity in this little room up here, big boy. That's all I'm going to say.
It's like, crazy. Yeah.
Now, he doesn't say that like word for word, but it's like really close.
Yeah, well, some of the things in this movie, like the prejudicial stuff, like some of the bigoted stuff about like gender or sex or sexual orientation, they make a joke. They make jokes about
Robin
like
Williams
whatever,
made a sex change.
Sex
joke.
change. Yeah. It's like, okay, Ben
Which like
Affleck
didn't fit.
Matt
It like
Damon.
just didn't fit. He was like talking to the bartender. And he was like,
Yeah.
he's like, oh, $2 million wouldn't pay for your tab. And he's like, well, it'd pay for your sex reassignment surgery. And it's like,
Right.
okay, like,
Yeah.
I guess,
all the jokes,
I guess that's a joke. Like, okay. Right.
I guess it's supposed to show, right, that Robin Williams is like also cool. He's not stuffy, you know, he's not but like, again, it's like of all the jokes you could make. Just,
right.
yeah.
And it's also
So,
right after he used the joke that Will gave him earlier in the movie.
Right.
And then the other bar patron calls him out in the exact same way that he called out
Yeah.
Will. And it's like, all right, like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That it seemed like dumb to me. Again, like, I think a lot of the
Moments.
maybe a lot of the callbacks and a lot of the characters are like smart characters written by dumb guys, right? It's like, all right, like, cool, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, the last line of this movie irritates me to no end because it says that we're not smart enough. In case you're not smart enough to realize that they're calling back to when Robin Williams told the story of like, I gotta go see about a girl. He says like, oh, he stole my line, and then the movie ends. It's like, shut up. Like, why do you think I'm such a fucking idiot that I don't remember something that happened 60 minutes ago? Like,
Yeah.
God.
I don't know.
Yeah, because it's a good line. I think it's a good enough
It's a good
ending.
line.
Like, it puts the I gotta go see about a girl. Cool, clean, great.
Yeah.
Robin Williams could just roll his eyes and walk away, or like smirk or whatever.
Yeah,
but
and it could
instead
have been
you
like a
gotta
touching
end-
thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it could have done a slow zoom on Robin Williams' face as he sort of looks off into the distance.
Well,
Maybe
maybe
a
not a
chuckle,
slow zoom.
head
You
shake.
I mean, that
No?
would
No
fit
slow
this
zoom? Okay,
sentiment.
all right. Okay,
This would
well,
make this
all
would fit
right,
this sappy ass movie, but
well,
you know, it doesn't. It's just.
I would have done
obvious.
a slow zoom.
Well, when we start up fucking Ricky Productions, I almost just said your last name. Yeah, anyway. So part of why I wanted to, or why I was reminded of this movie is that I watched another movie recently, a couple weeks ago, called The Prince of Tides, which is another 90s, like, I think 90s or maybe very, very late 80s movie. Very different vibe in a lot of ways. That's like a romance. But it is a movie with a lot of therapy in it. And so it reminded me of this because, not only because of that, but just the concept of, in movies, of your therapist just bullies you until you cry. Like, is so specifically like a movie thing. And like, I don't know, just I don't know if it's really a problematic depiction of therapy. Like you said, like, I think a lot of people think they're just smarter than their therapist or smarter than the idea of therapy, whatever. But like the specific depiction of like, yeah, your psychologist or your counselor or whatever is like gonna just like take you down a peg and like, yeah, like just be harsh to you and like sarcastic and like kind of unprofessional in a lot of ways, until you break down and like sob, is just, I don't know. It really gets under my skin. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's unpack that.
Well, it's therapy from guys who have never been to therapy, right? Like,
Probably.
it's like, oh,
yeah,
you know
a lot
what?
of it.
If I had a therapist, this is what he'd do to me. He'd sit me down.
Yeah.
He'd give me no.
He'd tell
give
it
me
like
no
it
bullshit.
is.
He'd tell it like it is. Yeah. He wouldn't let me do any of this shit anymore. He'd make me stop hanging out with those guys. Like, yeah. He'd really take control of my life. And you know what? It's kind of weird. Maybe I'm reaching too far with this one, but like, therapy is like definitely like, it's a building process, right? Like, and you have to sort of maybe not acknowledge the other person on the other end as like equals, but like at least to a certain regard you have to, right? Like,
You have to buy in. Yeah, exactly.
Right,
like, you
right.
can't go in like Matt Damon and not want to, like, you will, like, this would never, I mean, of course it would never work as a movie, but like, you know, this movie could never be made today.
Yeah. But like,
yeah,
you
like,
also you can't like see the therapist as too like high above you, right? Like, the things they're teaching you are
Totally.
things that you need to do day to day, right? So you have to
Right.
like, you have to be able to like relate to them like as a person, and like relate to their ideas as they affect your life, as they would affect any person.
Exactly.
It can't be something like high and lofty, right? It has to be very like real. And it seems like a lot of, especially men who reject therapy, do it out of a sort of like, I don't want to gender code this conversation too much, but it feels like
Hey.
they see therapy as sort of like feminine coded, because they
totally.
see it
Talking
as,
about yourself and your feelings, yeah.
not even that, as though they're being like, they're given testaments that they have to follow, right?
Oh, you think so? Okay.
Yeah. Like, especially like when you get into like, I mean, anything about therapy, like when you really get into it, when they give you like certain, maybe not coping strategies, but like,
Yeah, like ideas
ways
of
to
things
help you think about yourself,
yeah,
and
practical,
about your relation with
yeah.
others. Right. Any like real
Yeah.
practical advice is going to seem like, because it's not like a mantra. It's not like something you repeat to yourself when you wake up. It's something that you have to like really think about as you go through your day, and it's to help you. It's to help remold your thoughts. But I think a lot of guys see that as like feminine coded, because they see it as giving up their like the way that they built their systems, right?
Right. Well, and it's like men don't like to go to the doctor either. Like just the regular medical doctor. Like a lot of like,
they don't want to be
or
told
ask
what to
for
do
directions.
Yeah.
Like, I know
They just
those
don't
are
wanna be told what to
stereotypes,
do.
but there's a kernel of truth there. And yeah, I think therapy is like heightened because it is about emotions or like whatever,
Right.
you know.
I think
how
that's
you're
the
going about your
easiest way
life.
for them to like slough it off and be like, oh, like, it's because it's like I just don't want to talk about my emotions, yada yada. And like, I mean,
Right. I'm fine.
right. And it's like, well, like, sure, maybe you're dealing with it, right? Like, whatever you're going through. And even if what you're going through is just like life, right? Like, yeah, maybe you're dealing with it. But like, are you enjoying it? Like, are you thriving
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
One
You
of
don't
the
have
things
any
that
problems?
Yeah. One of the things my friend told me, which like really was like a sort of paradigm shift with me in regards to not just therapy, but like life in general. Because like I was very down on myself. I was like, oh, like, I'm not smart, yada yada. And he was
But
like,
Ricky, I saw you write out that equation on that chalkboard when you were doing that gig as a janitor.
right. But like this was when we were both like I mean I was just starting college and like he was like just graduating and he was like, no dude, like you'll definitely be able to make it through college, no problem. And I was like, yeah, but like I fucking hate myself, I hate life, yada yada.
Right.
And like part of what he said was like, well, like if you're so smart, why aren't you happy, right? Because I definitely
bold
saw
take.
myself as being like decently smart, right? And then I was like, you know what? Fuck, that is true. Like if I actually am like if I'm in control of my thoughts or in control of my emotions or even in touch with them at all, right? Then I should in some way be able to regulate them, right?
Sure.
And like if I'm not doing that, then I am approaching like myself in a or like knowing myself in a dumb way, right?
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
dumb. I shouldn't do that. Like, and like not to say that that's like related to intelligence per se, right?
No, but I know what you mean. You're actively making the choice to better yourself. That's a smart thing to do. Yeah,
Right.
I got you.
Right. And by not pursuing that, that's a dumb thing to do.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
regardless
yeah.
regardless of how smart you are as a person, like if you are actively choosing things that don't help you, it's dumb. Like it's a dumb choice, and you're being
Yeah.
dumb doing it.
Yeah.
And like that's something that's like I don't know, was never really apparent to me, I guess. When he like the just the way he said it, I was just like, yeah, you know what, you're right, actually.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean,
So-
I think there is a tendency among, I think, men to just not want to better yourself in the same way that I think women do. Like, and I don't. Again, I don't think this is a gender essentialist thing. I think this is like women are constantly looking for like the way to do better, and because of all of the pressure that there is, both like domestically and career wise and appearance and all those things, it's like there's a lot of pressure to improve. Whereas I think on men, it's not that there's not pressure in those ways, but just it's a different kind of pressure. There isn't like a drive to have all your shit together and like have it all in the same way that there is for women. And so I do think that there's more of like, yeah, like things are fine. Like yeah,
I
it's
think
like
there are
things
very
could be
different
better,
pressures,
but yeah.
right? Like
Sure, yeah.
women are expected to be more, and
they're
like this might sound like
Emotionally
crazy.
stable. No,
I was
think
going
that,
to say emotionally stable. Am I crazy
Yeah.
for saying that? Right? Because
No,
it's,
I
it's,
think yeah.
it's like
Women hold the house down. Yeah, is like
Right,
the
right.
stereotype. Yeah, yeah.
and
You go to
very
your
often
mom if
women-
you need
women are
emotional
supposed to-
advice. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
well, women are supposed to like emotionally stabilize those around them
Men.
as well.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
they have to
yep,
accept
yeah.
that emotional instability and like feedback stability. While men are pressured to like be the provider in quotes I'm putting there.
Right,
So
right.
like the ways that they have to be stable is like
Are very
not
different.
complain.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
show up, put food on the table, and like
Right.
again, speaking very stereotypically, but like
No, yeah,
in general,
I hear what you're saying.
that's what it boils
Yeah.
down to. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for
Which
sure.
is why,
And so
like,
yeah.
when women don't like come up to that, or like if they get overwhelmed, right? That's why like guys, especially guys who are emotionally dysregulated, right, will say, "Oh, women are crazy." Like,
Oh, totally.
her?
Yeah, yeah.
She was crazy. Like,
Yeah.
like she was
All
just
of my
insane.
exes were
And I'm
crazy.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Every woman I've met has been crazy,
Yeah.
actually. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
If you smell dog shit in the morning or whatever the saying
yeah,
is.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's funny you mentioned this because I do think the way that men in relationships with women will use women as like emotional like dumping grounds or like just I can again, even just drawing on this one boyfriend whatever that idolized Matt Damon in this movie, like just the need to like have the woman draw out his emotions and like be his therapist, and not just in like tell me about your feelings or tell me what's upsetting you, but like let me work you through your problems and like make sure I'm coaching you with the right questions so that you come to the right answers and like
Right,
all of those types of things. It's so frustrating. I have fucking zero patience for that shit anymore. It's like if you don't tell me what is wrong, like I am walking away. I'm not gonna fucking coax it out of you like a fucking cat with a treat. Like it's not happening.
Right. And the craziest part is that men attribute these things to women. And it's like,
Right.
but like, I mean, women will do that with like stupid shit, right? They'll be like, oh, like, where do you want to eat? Oh, I don't know. It's like, great. Well, that doesn't help. But, like, whatever. That's stupid shit. Versus, like with guys, it's generally, like, they have, like, some significant issue going on, and they're like, I just don't want to talk about it. Like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I don't want to talk about it. Like, you're not making this easier for me. Like, God, like, you're being so fucking annoying. Why can't I just blank? And, like, the blank is always a cope. Why can't I just smoke my weed? Why can't I just, fucking eat this pizza and drink 16 beers and pass out? Like, what is, like, why do you have to make this so difficult? And it's like, it's crazy. I don't know.
No, and you're even speaking about a specific type of, like, meathead boyfriend who's, like, like, yells or whatever, but, like, there is also a type of boyfriend, and I'm not saying you're not saying this, but just there's also a type of guy who will, like, like, turn in on himself and, like, it's fine, like in a very, like, I'm so sensitive,
the self-deprecating, yes,
like,
I am
like,
a lamb
you're too
on the cross,
like,
the
I'm lamb
so
on
noble.
The cross. You're mixing.
I am a man chained to a rock, having eagles poking at his liver.
But no, for sure, like,
it's very lofty and self-satisfied, or
self-satisfied. Yeah. It's and that
I'm not
going to
say that I've never been there in that particular position, but
sure,
not to read myself to filth, but, like, never reflecting upon it is, like, I don't know.
Right.
Like, you see these people walking around, and not these people. You see people like that walking around, as adults, and it's like, whoo, baby, man, like, I don't know. There's people that you can tell, like, never had their ass kicked, never. And what's crazy? Matt Damon acts like he's never had his ass kicked. When he's had his ass kicked, we watched him get his ass kicked, and then he goes around and acts like he's never had his ass kicked. Like, come on, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's it is a specific type of guy. Like, that just
It's a couple flavors of guy.
That's true. They're it's a nightmare fucking Neapolitan swirl in Matt Damon
it's a
here.
smorgasbord.
It's a charcuterie of shitty man.
Of cuties.
Shark? Sharks?
Sharks chewing the water? All right, that makes 3 times in an hour. We gotta stop it.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what the current reception of this movie is. I know people, it seems generally positive, so I don't know if maybe people just, watched it as kids or watched it, in the 90s and haven't revisited it and just remember in their memories, like, it's not your fault, or, like, Robin Williams telling jokes about his wife farting in her sleep, like things.
I thought that was I mean, any scene with Robin Williams is really great. Although, so at the end of the movie, like, Matt Damon goes, like, "Hey, I hope this isn't breaking, like, confidentiality or whatever, right? It's not a broach of, like."
Yeah, and he's like,
whatever,
"Oh, you're gonna grab my ass," or
yeah. And he says, "It's not as long as you don't grab my ass." And it's like, actually, it was from, like, the minute that you, like, brought him out to the lake, like, the very first time you guys met, or the second time, I guess. Like that added score right there. It's like, okay.
It was the first time, because he chokes him out for talking about his wife, which, if you're a therapist...
it was, like, you're right.
It's the first time I meet. If you're a therapist and you're that sensitive to what is obviously... Like, he's supposed to be 20. Like, he's basically a child, like, at this point in this movie. Yeah. Like, and so, it's like...
And it's not even that
sensitive...
Like, he, like... Like... He just mentioned his dying wife, and he's like, "Oh, you married the wrong gal." He's like, "Don't you fucking talk about her! Don't you say her name!" It's like, all right, well.
Yeah, like, that's exactly. So, so the "it's not your fault" scene. I just want to. I mean, I think that it's well acted enough, but it's just cringy, because, again, it's like, all you have to do is say it's not your fault. That's it. They could have written a lot more of like, interesting or moving dialogue there, and instead it's just the most obvious, like, basic like thing you could say to a child of abuse or a kid.
I kind of liked it.
Really?
Yeah, especially
When he
because it was
started
like Robin
crying,
Williams talking to himself, right? Like that's what
a
he's
little
doing
bit.
there. He's like self-comforting, like he's letting himself know that it wasn't his fault. I kind of like that, and like especially like emotionally vulnerable people are like open to that, and like the eye contact and everything. Um, there's a bit Nathan Fielder does where like he has an act like this is gonna sound crazy, right? Um,
Please.
he had an actor, he has like an actress and an actor, and like originally he was like, yeah, so like I want you to just look into his eyes and say I love you, and she does it, and he's like, all right, let me sit down here, let's do this, and then like he's looking into her eyes and like he's like, all right, like say it, and she keeps saying I love you, and like he keeps going like, all right, again, like again, keep saying it, and it's like it's one of those scenes where it's like, all right, like he's breaking character here for sure. Like he starts like tearing up, and it's definitely like emotional for both of them, right? Um, and like I don't know if that's like him actually breaking character or not, but like I mean, very brave of him to put that out there if it is him breaking character, and he was like actually emotionally affected by that. But like watching this scene, that's all I could think of, and like it was like kind of funny to me, and I felt bad, and I wanted to empathize more with their characters, I guess. I don't know.
When he starts crying and he like Robin Williams takes him in for a hug,
Yeah.
Christopher was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got him."
I mean, he did fucking
So I don't
get him,
know.
though.
He got him. I mean, he did get him. I don't know. I guess it feels like it's just a very obvious, simplistic way of like, yeah, papering over like what a complex development would be for like this guy. Like if we were even just to take it on face value, like, okay, he is this genius and he's been blaming himself this whole time for this abuse and he's got this tough shell, pushes everyone away, etc. It's like the complexity of that emotional journey or like that journey through therapy could be so interesting, and instead it's just a lot of confrontation and a lot of like cliche, standard movie kind of stuff, and like just slightly askance in this like quirky veneer where again it's like, oh, she farts in her sleep, like that kind of thing, or like I don't know, it's
Right.
it's just
It's
yeah,
a lot of
anyway.
like 1 to 3 minute scenes of them in therapy, and like again, it's like moments, right? Like it's like, oh, like that was a cool moment. Very clippable, like you said earlier. It's not great.
Yeah.
Oh, that being said, though, like I love Robin Williams, and I don't know, maybe it skewed my view of it a little bit because I did really like seeing Robin Williams here. Like it, I don't know. I liked his
Yeah,
character.
that's fair. Have you seen Dead Poets Society? I gotta like obligatory ask this, I think.
I don't think so.
That's another movie where he's playing, I mean, he's not doing the same thing. I think that's a simplistic way of looking at it, but he's playing a funny guy in a serious movie kind of role, or like funny,
Right.
like a more lighthearted presence in a more serious movie. That movie's also like, if your boyfriend likes that movie, like that's the real, if your boyfriend likes that movie, run away. Like people make that joke about like Fight Club or, whatever, Pulp Fiction. And it's like, no. Really, it's Dead Poets Society. It's fucking Good Will Hunting. I'm trying to think of what another one would be. American Beauty is up there, although no one likes that movie anymore. But
True.
yeah. But anyway, so you should try that sometime. That's one you might like. It's a little
I will.
sensitive.
I've seen a couple movies with Robin Williams. I don't remember most of their names. I know Good Morning Vietnam was one of them.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
It's good.
I hear it's good.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good funny guy. And so like seeing him
Wow.
in a little more emotional role.
That's the kind of hot take that people come to this podcast
Yeah,
for.
I know, right? For
Robin
sure.
Williams, pretty funny dude.
Good funny guy.
Yeah. He definitely brings a level of gravitas to this movie, I think, that it really, really needs, that it didn't get otherwise. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So we went over Matt Damon's character. We went over therapy. I do want to mention Minnie Driver, dime in
Yeah.
this movie. My God,
She's beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's so pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah, every scene with her, I
Although,
was like,
yeah, Goo Goo Gaga. Yeah, she's very
Yeah.
pretty.
awooga.
She, her character though is awful. I think a mess. Like very, very like men writing women of it all.
yeah.
You know? She makes jokes about blowjobs. Like again, it's like it's like you take all of the like saccharine movie cliches and like just put like a 90s twist on them, and that's what this movie is. But it's still at the end of the day just like a sappy, whatever, heartwarming movie. Heartwarming, derogatory.
I don't know, the scene when they were breaking up, it was like
that
I just
is
didn't
scary.
feel anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I felt fear.
when Damon was leaving,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think that he was going to do anything. I was just like, oh, like he's just going to leave.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, whatever. And I mean, more specifically, I was thinking about the phone call afterwards.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, just I don't know. It just didn't capture me. I don't know why.
Yeah, they have okay chemistry, but they're not. They're not. I don't really ever believe that they really like each other that much. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't see what either of them
crazy.
seeing each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and after he like roughs her up like that, it's really tough. Like I feel like that's the only moment where I'm like, oh, I really do believe that this guy might have been abused as a kid. Like, and you know what I mean? Like all the fights and stuff that he gets into and the smart assing, you know, that he does. It's like, okay, this is like a movie version of what you might, you know, think a guy would get into if he had a rough upbringing. But like the way he treats his girlfriend in that moment is the one that feels the most real to me. And it was scary. Yeah. Even though I knew he wasn't going to hit her, it was like he still grabs her and, you know, like I said, roughs her up a bit, and it's upsetting.
Yeah. I mean, also, I like the scenes with her out with his friends and everything too. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little forced.
Yeah, to say the least. It was just so weird. And like, I don't know. I will say, just
she's
being
cool.
in, like,
she can hang out with like the kids. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah.
Like no
Go ahead.
male friend group that I know of. Like if you're like, hey, like I'm gonna bring my girl out, right? Like none of them are gonna be like, yeah, hell yeah, let's go for it, unless they also are bringing their girls out, right? Or like, I mean, maybe that's just because I'm in a bunch of like boys clubs or whatever. But like, it's just like if they're going out to get drinks and like to go to like the same spot that they go every Friday, like they do not want anything changing that at all.
That's true. I think that's any friend group. I don't think that's necessarily even like I don't want your boyfriend there either. If it's like girls' night or whatever, you know, when you bring your boyfriend along to those things, it's like, oh, okay.
Especially if it's just like just one partner. It's like if it's anyone's singular partner, it's like, all right, cool.
Well, there is something to the interview of it. You know, like I've definitely been okay, like bring him, like, you know, maybe it's not the only partner there, but like the point of it is like I'm meeting your new boyfriend or I'm meeting your new girlfriend.
Right.
Whereas
that's always something
just
like
bringing it to
that's
planned.
usually like a different event, right? It'll be like, hey, why don't we all go to the movies, or like why don't we all do blank? It's not like, hey, you know that thing that we do every week that's like specifically us? I'm changing the formula. It's like, I don't know, man.
It is because Matt Damon wrote this movie, and I don't think he has. I mean, he went to Harvard. Like, I don't think he's like
to have it
from Southie. Like, I don't think he's from like a rough upbringing or anything like that. Like, this character is supposed to be. I don't really buy the scenes of him in the bar as much. I buy Ben Affleck more. But Matt Damon, I just don't. And so, it could just be an authenticity
in every scene, right? Or in every bar scene, I should say. Like any scene where he's supposed to be like drinking and having a good time with the boys, he just, I don't know, seems a little off. And like again, it comes down to like, well, is that because he's like super smart and he's wicked smart, just like analyzing everything at 1,000,000 miles an hour?
It's weird. It's a weird scene. It's a weird choice. But I think it's
weird characterization there.
Yeah. One other thing. This is totally very specific and random. But one other thing I noticed that was super bizarre was when at that very end when they're talking about being abused, the Robin Williams and Matt Damon in the "It's Not Your Fault" scene. It's the only flashback I think in the whole movie. Is like when he's talking about like my dad used to lay out a wrench and a belt and some other third awful object, you know,
Stick.
to say like which one, pick which one. And they show this like first it's just a shot of like the dad in shadow, like coming up the stairs, but then it turns into this like kaleidoscopic, like kind of look at the dad. It looks like you're looking at him through like the eyes of a fly or something. It's really weird. It's really stands out because this movie is very pretty, but just pretty straightforward. Like there's not a lot of abstract or, you know, kind of impressionistic stuff in it. And so that type of that, and then that scene was just, or that shot was just really strange and stood out to me and kind of took me out of that moment. If they wanted to do something that was kind of driving home the emotional impact of it, I wish it had been something different, I guess.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I agree with that. Yeah, felt weird.
The only other time they do something kind of like trickster-y, I think, is when he's, and we should maybe talk about this scene, when he's in the job interview with like the fucking NSA or whatever, and he's giving his spiel, his like longest monologue where he's talking about like how he doesn't want to.
That felt like it went on for
be a
minutes.
code breaker.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Bombing
and
Yemen
he's
cities or whatever. It's like, all right.
Yeah. And then his buddy, you know, can't get a job and he can't pay for gas because it's so expensive, etc. Like he goes on and it's like, okay, we get it. Like you know about geopolitics, but
you're wicked smart. I get it.
Yeah. But they do a little trick in that scene where it's like you think he's talking to, right? It's like this close up, really extreme close up on his face of him telling this to whatever the NSA guy, and then it cuts at the end of that to him talking in Robin Williams' office, and it's as if he's just delivered that monologue to Robin Williams. It's like a, you know, it's like a, like I said, a little bit of camera trickery, you know, to transition the scene. And I thought that was like, again, that like popped because the rest of the movie's so kind of bland, for lack of a better word. Not bland, but
it's straightforward,
not full of that kind of silliness. Yeah, and so
very plain cinematography. Not like bad, but plain.
Yeah, and that again, it's like that choice was less weird, like tonally, but just felt like trickery. It didn't feel like it was actually driving home anything.
It was an interesting scene transition, but like one of the only interesting scene transitions. Yeah.
Yeah, and it felt like it was more just for comedy, you know, to just be like, oh yeah, well, we can tell how that went, you know, like the humor of like omitting the response to it. It just, again, it's like that was your chance to do something interesting and you didn't do it. So
yeah, kind of a shame. I mean, I think there's definitely points in the movie where they had like potential to do something more interesting and they just didn't.
Yeah.
Like not just cinematography wise, but like in general.
It's a very safe movie.
Yeah. There was one scene that I like gasped at, and I don't remember what it was. But this movie did get like a very surprised gasp out of me, and maybe when he was roughing up his girlfriend, but yeah, because nothing else even like kind of stands out to me now that I'm thinking back on it. Like even Robin Williams grabbing him was just sort of like a talk shit, get hit, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, I don't think overall it was a bad movie though. Like as much
crazy.
as like we've torn apart Matt Damon's character and like some of its shortcomings, right? I don't know.
I feel like I'd like this movie with the dialogue off. Like I'd like this if I were like folding laundry and was in the other room and like just watching TV from afar.
Yeah.
Like then it might that's the best way to watch this movie.
Yeah, for all you listeners at home, if you really want to get the full experience, go throw in a load of laundry. Throw in a couple. Just do them back to back to back. Just only watch the movie from there. The soothing sounds of laundry fucking rolling around in the laundry.
It's better than these accents. Oh my god.
They're so funny. Oh man.
They're bad. They're tough.
They're so good.
Glad that Titanic like trounced this movie at the Oscars for the most part.
It's tough. It's tough, Chief.
Why? Because Titanic's not good? Or...
No, I mean...
Yeah.
Sheesh, like, it's not that I hate Leo Dio or anything, but...
Titanic's an all-time...
Titanic is an all-timer. Yeah. It does blow the shit out of the fucking water. Yeah, you're right with that.
Yeah, Titanic eats this movie's fucking breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, Titanic eats the chum out of this fucking...
Pacific. It does. It really does. Fucking, yeah. Oh my god. Okay. Anything else about this movie?
Not really.
Good pod.
Yeah, thanks. Right?
Good ep. Yeah. I'm glad you liked it, I guess. Now you can say, if anybody ever asks you, how do you like apples, you know where they're going with it. You won't fall into that trap.
Wait, do you like apples? What scene was that?
Are you kidding me?
I'm not.
Oh my god. Do you watch the movies that we talk about?
I do. Wait.
On TikTok?
Yeah.
It's
I
when
might have missed the clip.
It's after the bar scene where he gets Minnie Driver's number and he goes up to the guy who he shit talks, and he goes up to the window and he's like, "Do you like apples?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And he puts the number up on the window and he's like, "I got her number. How do you like them apples?" You don't remember that? That's like the fucking most iconic scene in the movie, other than the "It's Not Your Fault" scene.
That was not
You're
the most
crazy.
iconic to me. That was not the most iconic in the slightest, I'll be honest with you.
Well, that's good.
I do remember "How do you like them apples?" Now that you like explicitly call it out, yeah. But that was so forgettable to me. I don't know.
Good.
That wasn't one of the clips. So we got a Rick's pick next week.
Yes, it is. Do not pick some fucking shit anime that you heard about on Reddit like 30 minutes before we recorded this. Please.
So next week, I was thinking we could watch Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. It's a Miyazaki film. It's a pretty good one. I haven't seen it in a really long time, like 10 or 15 years or something, which is crazy.
Okay.
And I mean, last time I watched it, I remembered liking it. So I feel like you'd like it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I have not seen. So between this, Castle in the Sky, and Porco Rosso, those are the like last big ones.
Sweet.
I have not seen directed by him. So
All right, we
that's
gotta
cool.
fill it out.
Is this the one with the bugs? There's some bugs, right? Like some big nasty bugs.
There are some big nasty bugs. I feel like a lot of Miyazaki's have some bug representation, and like he's got weird flying machines in this one as well. If that helps narrow it down.
Fucking classic. Yeah, I was gonna say that could be like 6 of his movies.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I love that. I love that for him though, and I love the charm.
No, yeah. Hey, good for him. He knows his lane.
Yeah.
He knows what he likes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So then next week we want to watch. In fact, we want to watch. Yes. Yeah. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, 1984, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Our second Miyazaki movie. Yeah, that's our second our first director we've done twice or 2 movies for.
Oh, that's kind of crazy. Hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We're 15 episodes in now, so
Sweet.
look at that.
Look at that.
All right. What's our outro?
Ooh.
Should it be Afternoon Delight from fucking Good Will Hunting?
Was that the movie? Was that the song they played in the middle?
It's the song he sings when he's being hypnotized. And he's just saying
yeah. Yeah.
Dumb shit.
Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Whatever. Throw that in there. Why not?
Well,
honestly,
that's not fun.
Honestly, just throw in the tagline of just "Wicked Smat." Like my buddy's Wicked Smat.
Fucking families digging in the Southie projects like ticks. 3-decker men at best. You, however, grew up on the North Shore, huh? Oh, Lottie fucking da. You were kind of a double kid, I bet, right? Huh? One kid with your old man, one kid with your mother. You're upper middle class during the weeks, then you're dropping your eyes and you're hanging in the big bad Southie projects with your daddy the fucking donkey on the weekends. I got that right? Yep. You have different accents? You did, didn't you, you little fucking snake? You were like different people. You a psychiatrist? Well, if I was, I'd ask you why you're a statey making 30 grand a year, and I think if I was Sigmund fucking Freud, I wouldn't get an answer.